Jesus Christ Superstar. As I progressed through school, I became more confident with my classmates and teachers. Although I had always considered myself inferior to everyone, I lacked confidence in myself. Perhaps the oppressive experiences at home with my father and his constant draining through criticism and fear planted a seed in me that, like a weed, reproduced uncontrollably. But better or worse, I was moving forward. My teachers, both religious and secular, created a significant impact on my education and my personality. And although as a teenager they could be annoying at times, today I see them through a different prism, and I am grateful for everything they instilled in me, both educationally and personally. One of my favorite teachers, and who was also a tutor in 8th grade, was Sister Julite, a young nun who will later abandon the religious order to live her story and her life differently, but who left an indelible mark on my life, who always treated me with an incombustible affection, and who helped me in all possible areas of my life at that time, even paying out of her pocket on one occasion the expenses of a phenomenal excursion that the school made to Jaca and Candanchu in the Aragonese Pyrenees. At home, the economic situation was very tight, and my father never let me go on any trip organized by the school. But Sister Julite convinced him on that occasion, and I spent one of the best weekends of my entire life thanks to her. I saw snow in large quantities for the first time. I laughed with my friends until my belly ached, skated on ice, not without a couple of tumbles, and I lived in a delicious freedom for a few days. All the subjects in class were going well, except for math, which each year, to pass the academic year, I had to make up for in September. They were the cause of my having to repeat 8th grade and almost a third time, because at that time, a single failed subject was enough to destroy an entire school year. But thanks to another nun from the school, Sister Pilar Aznarez, who gave me private lessons that summer, I got through the course and obtained my school graduate. French, which at that time was the only language we studied, was wonderful for me. It fascinated me. It was taught to us by a nun, Sister Engracia, who had lived in France for a few years, and with the book, the exercises, and a small cassette, we learned pronunciation, grammar, and what was necessary to understand that language. She praised my facility for the language, and the grades in the exams did not prove her otherwise. She was a somewhat imposing nun, serious at first, but very nice later. She was also our tutor and gave us literature classes. Thanks to her classes, my interest in that subject and in reading, which was already innate in me, multiplied by 100, and thanks to her, today I continue to adore books and have gained more knowledge of hundreds of wonderful authors from all eras and nationalities. And although French was the language studied in class, English always attracted me from a very young age. It was very familiar to me, and I always tried to find out the translations of words and phrases in some movies on TV. Because at that time, the foreign films, mostly Americans, that were broadcast were dubbed into Spanish, and many of the original titles were changed. My father, who had traveled around Europe with the orchestras, had some notions of English, and I always asked him what this or that word meant. Such was my interest that, for my 11th birthday, my uncle Ricardo gave me, at my father's suggestion, a magnificent English-Spanish dictionary that I still have. That was my first vehicle to speak a language that, after Spanish, I considered my own. The second teacher in that language was music. At that time, there were no CDs or mobile phones. We had the radio, vinyl records, and cassettes. Our school bought a stereo system, the best at the time, and put it in a new room that they created and that was called the music room, obviously. It was not much more than a room, not very large, with the stereo, a small table, and a couple of single sofas. And there were only 2 LPs, big albums, one that I don't remember who was singing in it, and another that marked my life forever. And I don't say that as a simple expression. The soundtrack of the film Jesus Christ Superstar, Jesucristo Superstar, as it was known in Spain. That rock opera captivated me from its first notes and opened my soul to a new sound, to a new concept of Jesus and his followers, and opened the door of honor to the English language that I adored so much. With the booklet that contained the lyrics of all the songs, I learned them and learned every expression of the language, its pronunciation. Everything began to make sense when I saw and heard English. And so I spent my weekends in that room, with the permission of the nuns, listening to that wonderful work, singing without having to lower my voice, and dreaming of one day being able to see the film, which I could do years later when I was old enough for it. And it did not disappoint at all. Today, almost 50 years later, I can interpret every character in that rock opera, and I have not forgotten a word, not a note, and it continues to cause in my soul the same wonderful sensation that it caused in my adolescent spirit. That work of art also increased my love and fascination for Jesus and his followers. His story has always touched me deeply, as well as his words, and that music did and does nothing more than put sound to my faith and my love.